It's hard finding finance use cases for AI. Why? Because finance is really deterministic. What do we mean by deterministic? Well, let's just say you cannot hallucinate a month end close and get the answer a little bit wrong. This stuff is really important. But the good news is, I've got a couple of things I can show you today that you can do tomorrow as examples of how to use AI in finance. I like this one because there's always regulations that are being updated around finance. And what we can do here is compare the latest anti-money laundering regulations with our current policy. I've loaded them both into NotebookLM, and what's cool about NotebookLM is it doesn't go off to the internet and infer something that it's learnt off some website somewhere. It's purely using the information that I've loaded into it. And I can very simply ask, what are the difference between the new regulations and the regulations that have just been updated? And if I really want to, I can start to create videos and PowerPoint presentations that outline that I can share with other people in the team. And there's a ton of use cases for this type of comparison. But let's have a look at something else. This example embeds Gemini with inside a spreadsheet. What I'm trying to figure out here is this item tax deductible or not? And I'm comparing water being used for a data center with water being used in the office. I simply call Gemini as a tax advisor and I get the answer straight within a spreadsheet. I've used this example myself for classifying information. Get lots of text information, emails, maybe there are objections to an invoice, and you can put all your invoice objections into a spreadsheet and then summarize those objections and have Gemini potentially even write you a follow-on email to the customer. So this is a really cool function. My final one, though, is the favorite of all the finance teams that I've interviewed so far. Now, most finance professionals that I've spoken to always have some sort of niggling process or problem that they just wish they had a little micro app to solve. Maybe it's several spreadsheets that need to come together, and you have to do that every month, and it's really laborsome and burdensome. And you don't want to just drop it into an LLM because you're not quite sure whether it's going to behave itself. So why not create a small micro app? And in this example, what we're looking at is the scenario where in expense reporting, an end user is not quite sure whether they're allowed to expend a particular item. What we've just seen is us define a requirements document for an expense reporting app, including the company's expense policy. And now what we're watching is Gemini building that app. And there we have it, our own little expense policy app. So I can just check any specific situation and see whether it adheres to our overriding policy. And of course, this app can be shared across the entire organization, saving people in finance a lot of questions, quite frankly, a lot of expenses that perhaps shouldn't have gone through. So I think this is exciting because developing these little micro apps give me a very deterministic solution, one that I'm confident is going to behave the same way every single time. And yet it offers me an opportunity to save a tremendous amount of time for myself and the whole organization. I guess if you were to create a micro app, what would yours be? See you next one.